Hey, solos. I cannot believe how close we are to Christmas. It's crazy. So you are planning a Christmas trip to Disney all by yourself. It just seems like the most wonderful thing that you could possibly plan ever. Should you go to the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom as a solo? And is that something that you should be jealous of right now of all the people who are at the Christmas party? Well, solo spoiler, to be honest, I don't really think as a solo, as an adult, really, you need to go to the Christmas party if you already have plans to. Like, it's going to be amazing. You're going to have a great time. But I don't think that that is the best way for maybe an adult, like not just solo, but like adults to celebrate Christmas at Walt Disney World. And just in case you want to surround yourself in videos and music and things like that to really keep your mind in a happy place as well as have a holiday spirit, I wanted to time this episode so that you could maybe, like I said, look for videos, listen to music from other places around Walt Disney World rather than just the Christmas party, because I think that's really, really exciting to kind of explore as well. Hi everyone, it's Samantha. Olaf doesn't know who I am, but now you do, and welcome to Disney Solo Magic, the #1 podcast for solo travel to Disney World. In this episode, I'm going to provide my review of the Christmas party at Magic Kingdom and tell you about my experience being there and going solo. But then I'm also going to talk about all the other things to do around the Walt Disney World Resort property that I think, if you're going as an adult, is kind of equally as good, if not better. And again, I know that when I get super stressed and there's like a lot of people in my house and I just need to be in like a little bubble of happy place, I'll often put on a video or listen to some background music of different places at Walt Disney World. And rather than you, if that's something that you like to do as well, rather than you just kind of always being looking for the videos about the Christmas party, I hope this episode is going to encourage you to also look for videos and soundtracks and things like that from other places around the Walt Disney World Resort property and get excited about a possible next year vacation to Walt Disney World solo in December to experience those. I'll be posting some pics and things like that from my trip on Instagram, so make sure you click the link below in the description. You can see my account to Instagram as well as Facebook as well as Threads. You can also see the links to Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and I'm going to do a special playlist on YouTube of all of the different like background music and things like that that I like to listen to around the holiday season related to Disney if you wanted to listen to the same background music and help us all collectively de-stress. It is so wonderful when you support the podcast by going to all these different websites, all these different social media sites, all these different platforms to stream and listen to the podcast. It's a great way to increase the visibility of the podcast when you are interacting with all the different sites, because then it shows up on other people's algorithms. So if you like and subscribe and rate and review and all that stuff, it really helps other people get the solo magic. And that's really, really wonderful. The other way you can support the podcast is buying me a coffee and keeping me caffeinated throughout this very busy week before Christmas. I already have been caffeinated. I don't know if you can tell. I started the day with a hot peppermint mocha, and gosh, like there is just something about a peppermint mocha, first, that brings me back to high school, but that also just really places me in Christmas. So if you go to buymeacoffee.com/Disney_solo_magic, the link is in the description below. For $3 American, $5 Canadian, you can click and buy me a proverbial coffee and help support the podcast and keep me caffeinated for another week of content creation and editing and all of that stuff. Thank you to all of you who have already bought me a coffee. I really, really appreciate it. It's just, again, I'm just so grateful for this community, and you can donate privately, you can donate publicly, and so I really appreciate all of that. All right, enough preamble. Let's get into it. All right, so let's get into it. So I went to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party for the very first time this year. I had always thought I would wait until my nieces and nephews got a little bit older, and then I just thought, no, why wait? I mean, I love Disney World more than these kids. Every time I come back from Disney and I have like little Disney treats, and I mean, I could have just got things from the dollar store. They were just happy to have like candy, you know what I mean? So I just thought, no, of course, hashtag solo magic, just go to the Christmas party. And I had just the most amazing time. It was really, really wonderful. I also went to the Halloween party this year, and I'm going to be comparing the parties. My experiences were pretty much the same. I'm going to be comparing the parties in this episode because I really want to give you kind of apples and apples comparison. So first things first, both parties are evening specially ticketed events. If you have a ticket during the day of the party, you cannot go to the party. You need to have a special extra ticket that you buy that allows you access to the party. When you buy this extra ticket, you can get into the park at 3 o'clock, but the party doesn't start until 7 o'clock. If you are in the park on a party day, you can be there until 6 p.m. And then at 6 p.m., they gracefully kick you out. And there is that 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. window where they're getting all the like day people out and getting all the party stuff ready. The Christmas party, just like the Halloween party, doesn't happen every day. There are special days and there's a full calendar. It is, like I said, a specially priced event as well. It starts at, this year, it started at $179 and it went to like $220, $225. There are select days where Disney Vacation Club members and annual pass holders get a discount, the low bargain discount of $10. Which is actually a little insulting, but that's okay. And those aren't for all the days, just some days right at the beginning. Obviously, the closer you get to Christmas, the more expensive the tickets are, as well as the more quick that they sell out. So if you're really, really interested in going, like obviously that's really great, and you kind of want to, quote, save money, you can go earlier in November, and that way you get a chance to save a little bit of money, but still get all that Christmas spirit. It's the same with the Halloween party as well. The prices aren't quite as expensive, but they're still pretty expensive. And again, the prices go up the closer you get to Halloween. So I went around my birthday. My birthday's August 31st. And so I got kind of a quote unquote cheap ticket to the Halloween party because I celebrated Halloween in August. Hey Solos, I'm just popping in. I was editing and there was something that I realized would be actually very useful for you to know. So yes, the parties are completely sold out. You do need that extra ticket, all that stuff. None of that changes. But if you go to guest relations at Magic Kingdom on the day of the party, and the same is true for going to Hollywood Studios guest relations on the day of the Jollywood party, even if the party is sold out, oftentimes, as a solo, you can get a last-minute ticket. Now, at Halloween, I tried to switch my ticket. So I went to guest relations at Magic Kingdom because I did go to Magic Kingdom that day, and they told me no. And they said, no, it's sold out. And I was like, no problem. So I left, and then I went to guest services outside the park, and I said, can I switch to this other day, 2 days away, and I know it's sold out? And the cast member was like, is it just you? And I said, yeah, it's just me. And he was like, okay, let's see what we can do. Now, he wasn't able to switch me because, long story short, I already switched the ticket. But I talked to a lot of solos that also said that if you go to guest relations on the day of the party and it is just you, hashtag solo magic, and you are polite, then you can often get a last minute ticket. So that's just something to keep in mind, that if you followed my advice next year and you're like, I'm not going to get a party ticket, I'm not interested, I'm not going to go, but then you get there and you're like, oh, I don't know, I think I want to go to the party and now it's sold out, just go to guest relations. Be friendly. You're the only person. And again, in my experience, because it is just one and you are very polite, guest relations cast members can do some magic. Hashtag solo magic. All right, back to the regular episode. So the Christmas party, as well as the Halloween party, they have all these kind of different things that are happening because it is a special event and it's a party and, have fun, holiday fun. So they have a special parade during these parties, and the Boo to You parade is kind of famous. I think everyone kind of is familiar with that little song that's part of the Halloween party. And then for the Christmas party, they have a Christmas parade, and this year there is an elf, Tally the Elf, that's been getting a lot of like TikTok, like play, and yeah, that's been really cool as well. Not only do they have the parades, and the parades happen twice during the party, they also have a special fireworks show, a special stage show. They have overlays on different rides. So for example, there's different colors on the spinning teacups or Space Mountain. At Christmas time, the Jungle Cruise turns into the Jingle Cruise. All of the boats have different kind of Christmassy names. The skippers will throw in a few more like Christmas jokes, things like that. It is the same like Jingle Cruise that you would get during the day. So it's not just the Jungle Cruise part is not just a party exclusive. The parties also have things like special photo spots. They have special photo pass, magic shots. They aren't included though. Like if you have the like photo pass package, you can get these pictures as part of your package, but they aren't included in your ticket. So that's another additional fee, unfortunately. There's also special menu items at different places around Magic Kingdom, so you can get like special holiday foods that you wouldn't get during the day at Magic Kingdom. And that's the same again for Halloween and for Christmas. Another thing that's really great about the parties is that there's a lot of characters out, so you can do a lot of different meet and greets, and that's always really, really fun. And there are just like fewer people in the park. That is a huge, huge advantage of doing the Christmas party or the Halloween party. Because there are fewer people in the park, there are much, much lower lines for all the different rides. And so you can just like bebop around the park, like riding rides, meeting characters. And at both the Halloween party and at the Christmas party, there are places around Magic Kingdom that you can stop. And during Halloween, you can trick or treat. But during Christmas, you can go get cookies as well as like a quote unquote hot drink. They weren't that hot. It was a lukewarm drink. So I had a really great time, and I did not go in with a plan. So I was sick for a lot of November. Oh, I don't need to tell you that. You know I was sick for November. You heard me. I was sick for a lot of November, and so I just like didn't spend a lot of time researching the party. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow. And I think, and I talked about this a little bit for the Halloween parties as well, I think there's like two strategies, especially for your first time of going and doing these parties. The first is with like a very clear list of all the things you want to do. And when you have that list, what happens oftentimes is that you'll kind of miss the vibes, right? You kind of miss the atmosphere because you're so intent on making sure you get everything on your list done. The other way to do some of these parties when you're going for the first time is to just say, I'm just going to go for the vibes. And I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And then you do miss some things. You might miss a particular meet and greet, or you might miss like the first parade and you'll have to go to the second parade. And that is how I did the party this year. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for vibes. We're just going to vibe. Like that is what I'm going to do. And generally, I was pretty happy with that as a plan. Now, I feel like it's kind of easy for me to go for vibes because, hashtag humble brag. I've been to Magic Kingdom so much in the last couple of years that I already know the things that I'm like interested in doing and going for and all that stuff. And so I think that if this was like, oh my gosh, your one big trip and a couple years and all that stuff, then yeah, like going in with a list is really great to make sure you do all of the stuff you want to do. Now, one thing I did really want to do, and I didn't actually have a schedule for it, but it did just happen when I was there, is to be able to see it snow on Main Street. And that was at the end of the night as I was leaving, as so many of us were leaving. They played White Christmas on Main Street, and it was just snowing, and it was beautiful. Like, it brought a tear to my eye. It was amazing. So that's the overview of the Christmas party. So this is how the evening kind of rolled out for me. So I mentioned on the episode last week that I went to Liberty Tree Tavern. I actually went to the Diamond Horseshoe, but it's pretty much the same restaurant, same menu, all of that stuff. And I had like a traditional kind of Christmas dinner of turkey and stuffing and cranberry sauce and all of that stuff. I got there right before 6, so I was like eating my Christmas my Christmas themed dinner right in that window as they were getting the day people out and getting the party people in. Now, I actually liked filling up before the party because I did eat at the Halloween party. I ate some of the specialty foods when I was at the Halloween party, and it was really wonderful, for sure. But you are then spending your precious party time eating. And so because I ate beforehand and I ate a very substantial dinner, then I didn't actually need to stop at any part during the party that ends at midnight, by the way, to sit down and eat. I did get a couple snacks, obviously, but I didn't really need to prioritize sitting down and eating because I ate beforehand. So that's a little bit of a tip if you want to make sure that you're eating, but you don't want to spend party time eating. Now, I'm just going to say this as well. They have reservations at Be Our Guest and maybe Royal Table as well. And I noticed for Be Our Guest that they had a special Halloween menu during the Halloween party. And I believe it was the same for the Christmas party this year. But it's very frustrating as someone that loves themed anything because I really wanted to participate in that themed menu. I love a good themed menu, but getting a reservation at a sit-down restaurant during the party is kind of a terrible use of your party time. It just cuts into the whole party. So try to stay away from that if you want to make the best use of your party time. Okay, so after my dinner at the Diamond Horseshoe, I wanted to stick around and wait for the parade. But because the park isn't as full, you don't need to line up ahead of time for as long as you would at a regular day when the park is really busy. So I had about 45 to 50 minutes before the parade started. And then what I did was I went and rode Tiana's Bayou Adventure, I rode Pirates of the Caribbean, and I picked up my first cookie and quote-unquote hot apple cider from an area that was right outside Pirates of the Caribbean. And I also got to see, although I did not meet them, some of the characters that were being doing meet and greets around Pirates of the Caribbean, including Captain Jack Sparrow. So that was really cool. So I did all of that in 45 minutes. I then made my way back to Frontierland, and they had the country bears and they were dancing, and they had this little band that were playing, and they were doing kind of riffs on different Christmas songs, and they were really getting the crowd kind of excited for the parade, and that was really fun to kind of just walk through and finding a spot. I found a really great parade spot next to a family and next to a snack cart. It was a spot that only a solo could get into. And there were people that stood in front of me, and the cast members were like, no, that's not a spot. And I was like, haha, not a spot. It was great. It was really, really fun to watch the parade. It starts with all the classic characters, and then it goes to Mickey and Minnie, and they had gingerbread people, and they had a really cool float from Toy Story. They had Tally the elf and the other elves, but he didn't interact with us because he was on the other side, so I didn't really get to see him the way some people have got to see him. Midway through the parade, all of a sudden I see 6 white ponies, and it is carrying Cinderella and Prince Charming in a golden carriage. I did not know the ponies were going to come out. I was like, oh my God, look at the ponies. And then right after that, there was Snow White and Prince Charming, and they were on a gazebo and they were dancing, and that was a really great float as well. And then right behind them, though, there was a bigger, larger float that just had a whole bunch of princesses and princes. They had Belle, and they had Tiana, and they had Sleeping Beauty, and it was kind of confusing why Cinderella and Snow White got their own floats, and then everyone else was like, you can come on here, Olaf had his own float, and then Anna was walking with a few, I guess, quote-unquote friends. I'm not quite sure. And then Elsa was behind on another float. She didn't have snow. I don't know if she's supposed to have snow, but I thought that those characters were a little lackluster considering they're very wintry characters. Clarabelle the cow has her own float. She was amazing. Do you remember that at Saturday Night Live skit that was more cowbell? frankly, it's like more Clarabelle, like more Clarabelle. And I am convinced that all the cast members that perform Clarabelle are very into drag dancing and the drag scene, because there are some moves on that girl and she is so sassy. And I mean, I loved seeing the ponies. That was really cool. But Clarabelle was also like a very, very high favorite for me. The parade also had dancing reindeer, and right behind the dancing reindeer was Santa, and he closed out the parade, and it's always great to see Santa. It's very exciting to see Santa, big waves and all of that. And yeah, it was a really great parade. But as soon as it was done, I thought to myself, oh, that's the difference between Halloween and the Christmas party. Christmas is very traditional. They don't play around with Christmas. It is Christmas. It is the Christmas tradition that you will have and hold for generations. There was nothing in the parade that was surprising or unique or that like pushed the boundaries. Whereas in the Boo to You parade, the Halloween parade during the Halloween party, there is so much playfulness and kind of trickster energy with the parade itself, with the different stories, the little vignettes of the parade as it goes down the different streets. There's so much more happening, like I said, playfulness that happens with the Halloween parade. And the Christmas parade just didn't have that, and that's because Christmas is like precious. You don't play around with Christmas. There isn't a lot of jokey energy at Christmas. And that's why I think Tally the Elf really has blown up, because Tally the Elf has really embodied a different type of Christmas. Like, yes, naughty or nice list, but also, again, that like kind of fun trickster energy that, pushing the boundaries of the story a little bit more personality. Other than that, like the Christmas party and the stories don't really have a lot of extra personality because the personality is Christmas. So I'll give you another example. After I watched the parade, I went over to the Haunted Mansion because there was only a 13-minute wait, which means it's just a walk-on. But I was so surprised that the music around Haunted Mansion was just like standards, like Christmas standards from the 40s and 50s. There was nothing spooky about them. There was nothing even like time period accurate from the kind of Victorian Edwardian period that the Haunted Mansion is supposed to belong in. Like, it's like Bing Crosby singing Silver Bells, which is a great song. Great. But it's not spooky. And so here we are at Haunted Mansion about to go into this spooky experience, and we're listening to like songs that our grandparents would have played. Now, our grandparents might be dead like mine are, and maybe that's the link. But I said to a cast member, like, this music's weird here. And she's like, yeah, I know, right? It's weird. Now, when you went to Adventureland, for example, they were playing a ton of Christmas songs that were like on the ukulele, as if you were in like the South Pacific or Hawaii, like the areas that Adventureland is supposed to kind of represent. So there, the music kind of made sense, but I guess Disney felt like you couldn't do spooky music around the Haunted Mansion. And when I was thinking about this episode, I thought, well, but at Disneyland, they do a whole overlay, a whole Haunted Mansion overlay with Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, I'm surprised there isn't more to that. And then, there just isn't as much leeway to push the stories with Christmas as there is with Halloween. When I met a whole bunch of different characters, I met Jeannie, I met Jasmine, I met Mirabelle, I met Bruno, I met Ariel, I met Eric, I met all these different characters, and it was super, super fun to interact with them. But none of them looked or acted particularly Christmassy at all. I was wearing a green sweatshirt because it was also very, very cold. And Bruno made a comment like, people were wearing green, like green was a really popular color that night, just like his robe. And it's because those characters don't belong in Christmas. And that's something the chef at the boardwalk or the chef at the beach club said to me the next day. We were talking about the gingerbread display, and he was talking about next year's gingerbread display. And he's like, we do a lot of stuff with like Ariel and the Little Mermaid when we're creating kind of fun desserts, but Ariel doesn't belong in Christmas. So whenever we present anything Christmassy with her, we always get a no. And I was like, right. No, most of the characters in the Disney universe do not have Christmas storylines. Belle has that winter storyline in Beauty and the Beast, and I think her second movie is like an all Christmas movie. So that's why you'll see her in her Christmas outfit at different Christmas events. Actually, last year when they were showing videos of Jollywood, I was like, who is that? Who is that singing on somebody's video? And they're like, that's Belle in her Christmas dress. Yeah, I guess as a purist who's only seen the first movie, I didn't know that. But none of the other characters are placed in Christmas. Now, at the beginning of the parade, you will see a lot of classic characters wearing like scarves and hats like it's Christmassy, like Alice in Wonderland and Peter Pan and Winnie the Pooh and all of that stuff. But those being classic characters, the Disney Corporation early on when those characters were being developed had already placed those characters in Christmas settings. So right now the Walt Disney World Archives on their Instagram is showing different Christmas cards that were produced by the Walt Disney World Company in the 40s and the 50s. And you'll see some of those characters, those Winnie the Pooh, Alice in Wonderland, in Christmas stuff. And so because like you may have grown up actually seeing something Christmassy related to those characters, it is okay for them to look kind of Christmassy. But you've never seen Snow White or Sleeping Beauty in Christmas stuff, and they're not going to do that for the party either. They're going to keep both the integrity of the stories and the universe that they live in, as well as the integrity of the kind of reverential Christmasness that you will see around the party. Anyway, it was great to meet all those characters. It's always, really fun to interact with characters. And, I've never seen Jasmine. No, that's not true. I have seen Jasmine. Never seen Bruno out in the parks. It's just nice to see those extra characters, right? So it's really fun. I also went and met Santa. that was really awesome. But I met this Santa and I met another Santa. And, it's just clear that the Santas don't have the same cast training as the actual characters do. Because the Santas, look, I would meet Santa again 100%. It was really fun, but the Santas did not quite know how to deal with adults, especially by themselves. And so the most fun I had was with all the cast members around Santa who complimented my outfit or wanted to know what I asked for and all of that stuff. So it was really fun, but I was like one Santa I met, a cast member said that he liked my outfit. This wasn't at the Christmas party. It was a couple days later. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I was talking about my dress and I sit down next to Santa and I was like, do you like my dress too? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And I was like, great, because I'm going to ask for more clothes for Christmas. And he said to me, yeah, that's what I asked for too. I'm sorry, Santa. That is not how this works. I'm not interested in doing the extra labor of understanding what your list is. So, but then, I got back up and after I got my pictures and I got some cute pictures and talked to some cast members and it was really fun. But yeah, the Santas aren't quite as prepared for adults, I think. I also saw the fireworks show at the party and, okay, I was a little disappointed, not because it wasn't very cool and not because it wasn't very impressive, but that it was just very not Disney. And again, this is that sense of not being able to bring like getting the universes to like clash together. If I knew anything about Marvel, I'm sure there is some sort of cool analogy I can use here about like the Marvel universe. Sorry about that. Like do it in your brain if you already know that. So it was like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra type of music. It's a projection show and fireworks, so you need to have a good view of the castle. And it was really impressive, really cool. Minnie came out and did some narration at the beginning, middle, and end. They had Tinkerbell fly at the beginning, all very cool. But I was like, oh, there's no Disney Christmas anything. So it was great, obviously. But I was kind of surprised there wasn't more Disney stuff. And then at the end of the night, like I said, I was walking down Main Street and it just started to snow. And I know people like to say snope because they like to highlight that it's it's soap, not actually snow, but I just like to think of it as snow. And it was just so beautiful and just so enchanting. And on Main Street in particular, just, oh my gosh, so gorgeous. So when I left, like, I had a really good time. I didn't feel awkward about being there solo. I didn't necessarily feel like it was catered to children at all. There were a ton of adults. I got a ton of cookies at all the different like cookie like drop-off locations or pick-up locations. I got a ton of cookies. If I wanted to wait for some more characters, I would have got to see even more characters. Although a lot of the specialty foods were kind of sweet foods, there were some interesting things. I had a sugar cookie hand pie, which it was not quite the explosion of sugar I was fearing, actually. It was actually pretty good. And yeah, it was a really, really great time. Would I go back solo? And I don't think I would, because there are so many other cool things to do around the Walt Disney World Resort property when you're going solo, but also just like I said earlier in this episode, when you're an adult. Now, the Halloween party, I definitely would do again, for sure. It was amazing, but it's because the Halloween party specifically pushes the boundaries of different Disney storytelling that you can't see at the rest of Walt Disney World, like the rest of the Walt Disney World city, and that you can't see at Magic Kingdom during the day. And so there is something special. There is like a lightning in the bottle specialness to the Halloween party because of the way that it pushes the boundaries of the Disney universe. But the Christmas party doesn't do that. It really is just like Magic Kingdom in a snow globe that with some Christmas music. And that's beautiful and wonderful. And if that is what you want, then you go do that, solos. You do you, bibbidi bobbidi boo. But it also made sense why they started Jollywood Nights and they put so much energy into revamping it this year to make it better. They wanted a slightly different Christmas party that didn't break with tradition, that enhanced tradition, and that was more of an adult event. Now, I did not go to the Jollywood Nights this year, although Disney Bound Solo on Instagram did call it that it won the Most Improved Event Award. that it was really great. I've heard nothing but amazing things about Jollywood Night. And so I do think that will have a little bit more of like universe pushing, boundary pushing than the Christmas party is going to have. So what would you do if you were going to Disney World by yourself and you weren't going to go to the Magic Kingdom Christmas party? Well, number one, if you wanted to take that ticket money and put it towards another ticketed event, you could go to Jollywood Nights. I haven't been, but I've heard really good things. And on the solo Disney group, Facebook group that I belong to, I haven't heard anyone say that it's awkward for solos. So that is one option. Option number two, go to Magic Kingdom during the day. And if you go on a party day, thanks to one of the solo listeners for reminding me to say that, the lines are usually shorter during the day on the party days than they are like just on a random day. And that's because if you only get to be in the park until 6 o'clock, it's not like, quote, worth a whole park ticket. But I don't know, I think it's very worth it when you get to ride all the rides without long lines. And if you go to Magic Kingdom during the day, rather than going to the party, here are some of the other things that you get to see. Number one, you get to see see the Christmas decorations during the day. And I don't know if you've noticed, Magic Kingdom, as well as the whole Walt Disney World Resort property, is so respectful of light pollution. And so when you're there at night, they keep things pretty dark. And so the unique decorations that they have, you can't really see how beautiful and intricate they are. Like the landscaping, the plants, the garlands, the wreaths, the tree. And so if you go during the day, you get to really see all that stuff, which is great. Also, if you go on a party day, especially if you're there till kind of the end of the day, you'll also get to see all of the cast members in their like party outfits. They have these cute little bows and cute little bow ties, and you get you get a sense of the party without actually having to go. So that's a really great option. Option 3 is to go to one of the other parks. In particular, if you go to Epcot in December during the International Festival of the Holidays, it is just so full of Christmas cheer. Now, here's the thing, Solos. This year, it will be my 42nd Christmas. So I have had 42 different Christmas trees, and I have had decorations that have been around for 42 years. And one of the things I really love to see are ways to push tradition in kind of different directions, different aesthetics, different things to decorate garlands and trees with. And the last few years in particular, I've always really tried to do something a little bit different with my tree. And when I go to Epcot during the International Festival of the Holidays, which is really just a Christmas festival, all the different, countries in the World Showcase all have those standard Christmas decorations like wreaths and garlands and trees, but they are decorated so differently and so uniquely. And I think as an adult, with perhaps a more sophisticated taste than a child that is just celebrating their 5th or their 10th Christmas, seeing those kind of differences is actually really cool. And when you're there solo, especially if you're into this, you can just take all the time you want to be able to go and look at all the different decorations and take pictures and take selfies and even just take notes of how you might want to bring that into your own house for that Christmas season. And spending an extra day at Epcot doing that rather than going to the Christmas party, I think is actually a really, really great use of your Christmas Christmas trip budget than like I said, going to the Christmas party. You could also go to Hollywood Studios. They have some really cool retro decorations all along Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard and all that space in front of Grauman's Chinese Theater. If you like retro aesthetic, it is definitely worth going to go and check that out. Animal Kingdom has some really cool kind of large 3D puppets that come out in front of the Tree of Life, and there's some really interesting Christmas decorations too, kind of scattered around the park. So just going to those parks and seeing those decorations rather than, like I said, going to the party, I think is just a really cool way to kind of get that Christmas spirit. Plus, you can use that kind of, quote, extra money from not going to the party and go to a character dining restaurant like Hollywood and Vine at Hollywood Studios or Tusker House at Animal Kingdom, because Mickey and the gang have their Christmas outfits on. So you can also get some really great Christmas pictures with them. The next thing that you can do rather than do the Christmas party, and this is actually just a way to kind of save money as well, is just to do the crawl around the different hotels. Now, yes, everyone talks about the Grand Floridian. Everyone has been talking about the Contemporary. Yes, definitely. But those ones are so busy, and I really did not enjoy my time there because of how busy it was. So another solo told me about Animal Kingdom Lodge, and their tree and their gingerbread was so cool. I talked about the Beach Club gingerbread. That was also really cool. But solos, don't sleep on the value and the moderate resorts either. They might not have a whole gingerbread display, but they have beautiful Christmas trees and beautiful Christmas decorations. And just spending a whole day resort hopping and going to these different resorts and looking at all these different trees like, again, there's 21 different Disney hotels. Like, I mean, you would need at least 2 days to go see them all. How wonderful is that? Because again, it's just like slightly different, a pushing tradition, and that's something that I really value about the Disney decorations and that I didn't get at the Christmas party. The next thing that you can do rather than go to the Christmas party is to go to Disney Springs, especially during the day. So Disney Springs has a Christmas tree crawl. There are all these really, really cool Christmas trees that are decorated by, like, it's not Disney, so that they do push the boundaries a little bit. It's like the Disney Springs staff. So again, they push the boundaries a little bit of the Christmas decorations more than just Imagineers would, for example. And you can walk around and you can look at all these different trees. Now, I mentioned in last week's episode that I went during the evening, and so I couldn't actually see the trees. But I know that last year they had a scavenger hunt like sheet that you could pick up. And I don't know if they had it this year because I couldn't see the trees. But you can look for those types of things as well. The other thing, at night at Disney Springs, it also snows. So they have this giant Christmas tree that is kind of like right outside where the buses drop you off. And at certain points in the evening, they will play Christmas music and it will snow. And I was there last year when it did that. And again, it is just so magical. So if you want to get some of that magic, that snowy magic, you can get that at Disney Springs. You don't need to get that at Magic Kingdom during the party. So in sum, whereas at Halloween, you really get a chance to do something different and experience something different at the Halloween party, especially in comparison to the whole of Walt Disney World Resort property. Like, the resorts don't do anything special for Halloween necessarily. There are so many special things happening around the Walt Disney World Resort property, again, which is the size of San Francisco, double the size of Manhattan, that as a solo with kind of like the agility to plan your own schedule and kind of do your own thing, it is so great to be able to have all these different options to get the holiday spirit rather than just going to the Christmas party. Because again, like, think of the Christmas party as just being in a snow globe, which if you have a family is really great because now you're all contained. But but you as a solo, you don't need to be contained. You can spread your little wings. You can go over to Port Orleans Riverside, and you can go over to Animal Kingdom Lodge, and you can go over to Hollywood Studios and eat lunch with Mickey and Minnie in their Christmas outfits. And then you can head over to Disney Springs and stand there while it is snowing all over you and just be like, I love a solo trip to Disney. There's just so much more things that you can do that I think are just like equally as cool, that you don't need to spend money on the park ticket. And again, just like spend 2 days at Epcot. It's just so amazing. Now, with that being said, if you are like, no, I really want to go to the Christmas party, or I'm going to the Christmas party already this year, then you know what? You're going to have a great time. It's going to be amazing. You're going to just have the most amazing time. Have fun. But if it is, something that's just kind of you're on the fence about, kind of explore something else. So definitely explore other types of Christmas videos and background music and things like that on YouTube or wherever you're, consuming this media, so that you can see how cool all of this stuff is that doesn't get as much kind of airplay as the Christmas party does. And I really encourage you to kind of tap into that this week when it's so busy and so hectic and it's hard to like remember any sort of magic, let alone solo magic. So just a reminder that there's just so much out there for you at Christmas time at Disney. And if you have a trip that you want to book next December, there's so many other things that you can do rather than just kind of spend your money at the Christmas party. Well, I hope this was helpful. Next week is Christmas. I have 2 special surprises for you for Christmas, and I also just recorded the New Year's Eve episode. WTF, right? And I'm really excited to start the new year with you as well. So just a reminder that I'm on Instagram. You can always send me a DM if you have any questions about the Christmas party or any of the Christmas stuff. DMs on Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. And I can't wait to hear about your solo trips. And good luck with any sort of last minute shopping and all of that stuff that happens this week. All right, until next week. Bye. Hey Solos, it's Samantha. I hope you liked this episode and all the episodes of Disney Solo Magic, the #1 and I think only podcast for solo travel to Disney World. Help me make this podcast even bigger. Please make sure you rate, review, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. You can do all three. That's really great. It's also really, really great to connect with you, and you can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. And if you want to support the podcast even more, and keep it ad-free, you can buy me a coffee. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/Disney_solo_magic. And for the low price of $3 American, which is about $5 Canadian, and it's hard to even find a coffee at that price these days, you can support me and the podcast and help keep me caffeinated for a week ahead of content creation and editing. Thank you all so much for listening. It is just wonderful to build this community, and I can't wait to create more content for you. Bye.